Illegal Curve Summer Series. Once again, second year in a row with Jets draft pick Danny Zhilkin. Danny is a 2022 third rounder, just completed his first year with the Manitoba Moose, played 44 games. The season came to an end in February when he suffered a shoulder. Well, I don't know when exactly you had the shoulder injury, but you had your shoulder surgery in February. Stuck around, you were with the team for the remainder of the season. And then, of course, we most recently saw you at development camp with other Jets draft picks. So let's pick it up from there. We saw you in yellow. You were in non-contact. That's what yellow is supposed to convey, Danny. But I got to tell you, I was there every day, a prospect camp. You didn't look like a guy who was thinking he was in non-contact. So let's talk about your shoulder, how you're feeling, and how things have been.
Yeah, it's been going really well. I feel 100% now, even better than I was before surgery. So the injury has been kind of bothering me for a couple of years now. So it's good that it's all fixed now and there's no limitations really. The strength is all back, so it's all good. As for the deaf camp, yeah, it was more of a kind of a precautionary reason. It's summertime. There's no need to kind of force anything. So if it was up to me, I would obviously be playing all the scrimmages, but obviously I got to respect the doctor's decision and I understand where they come from. So.
I saw one of the quotes from you, something about you felt like an old guy there. I'm like, you're 20, turning 21. I mean, how was it though, meeting with all of your other prospects? And, again, we take for granted, this is a return to normality, right? Like you guys are getting to experience things post COVID that, a lot of guys missed out on early on in the early 20s.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, obviously my first year I was drafted, there wasn't a deaf camp, so
Mhm.
just kind of training by myself. And then, this would have been my third deaf camp now if we had a deaf camp there. So, just welcoming all the guys and, being a leader for them. I like being a leader. So it kind of takes me back to my junior years when you're growing up and seeing all the younger guys coming into the team and organization and kind of trying to lead them on. But yeah, time goes by pretty fast. So it's there's the clock is always ticking, so you got to work harder and harder, and there's more competition.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you connect with certain guys? I mean, I know, like you said, you knew guys from last year and obviously Chaz Lucius, was your teammate with the Moose. But in terms of that, do you look at, hey, OHL guys, other ways of being familiar, or is it just, hey, we're all Jets draft picks. Let's all get to know each other.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think there was many, kind of isolated groups. I think everybody kind of bonded together. I think, the Jets organization as a whole, I think it's a pretty close group, even with the staff. They're always like, joking around and always around the team. So it's awesome to see. But yeah, obviously, guys like Kevin He and Walton from Sudbury, I've trained with them in the past and skated with them, so I know them a little bit. So we shared a few good conversations at Def Camp for sure.
Well, what has your summer been like? We're already here in mid to late-ish August. You're getting ready to eventually come back to Winnipeg. But for now, let's just look back at what your summer's been like since since your season ended with the Moose. Obviously, we saw you at development camp. But what were you up to between those two times and now to date?
Yeah, during the whole month of May, I was here in Toronto rehabbing my shoulder. I was, purely focusing on my upper body and my shoulder, just trying to get that strength and mobility back for, so I can have a good productive off season with no limitations. So, and then June and July I was at Barvis Methods, very good gym down in Florida. It's very, very hot there. That was the only thing I didn't like. But yeah, it was an awesome gym. I've gained a ton of strength and gained some good weight. So that's been going well. And then I'm here in Toronto now for the month of August, trying to wrap up my off season and then come into Winnipeg in 10 days, I believe. So very excited.
And in terms of the message, every young player, every player gets an exit meeting, and every player with management, and every player kind of gets an off-season sort of list of things that the organization really wants you to focus on, spend your time doing. So you can let us know if you want to share specifics, but from your perspective, just in terms of what they wanted you to do and how you've gone about achieving them, how is that? Because again, you're on your own to a certain degree. Obviously, you have people that you work with as part of your team, but from your perspective, how has it kind of gone for you this summer?
Yeah, it's been going well. I think the biggest thing that they told me is the biggest jump they see in players is from first to second year. So I think, they told me don't take anything for granted, finish every rep to, do every rep to your full potential and what you can do. And just come into camp in the best shape possible and try to take someone's job on the Jets. I think, any player that's in the organization, that's their dream. So I'm trying to come into camp with, the best shape possible and do the best I can.
Well, let's reflect on that goal of taking someone's job. You completed your first year as a pro, and like I said, it was cut short. But from your perspective, that jump from junior to pro, now that you've had time to reflect on it, and I'm sure you've looked back at some tape or whatever, how did you think you made that adjustment, and what really surprised you about it?
Well, I think everybody talks about the speed and the strength. Obviously, I knew it was going to be faster, but when I got there, it was a lot faster than I imagined. And I think just the little details, everybody has their own job, and if you don't do the job, the puck's in the back of the net. So it's very slim margin for error, obviously. And
Mhm.
when you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to, you're going to get maybe punished with not having ice time or stuff like that. So I think it's very important to take care of the things that you're supposed to take care of.
One of the things we learned about this Moose Club, and we've seen over the years, is how close as a group they are, how committed this coaching staff is to helping guys grow and get to that next level. So, from that perspective, just from the group itself, and obviously we know you have some very familiar relationships on the team, and others that you've gained in the last year. What was that like? Getting to know a new group of guys from after leaving junior, and also a new coaching staff. And what did you learn maybe from some of those guys in the coaching staff?
Yeah, I think first of all, I got to give it to all the older guys on the team that we had. A bunch of them are leaving this season, and it's tough to see, obviously, but they got to do what they got to do, and it's part of the job. But yeah, I got to owe it to them. We had a lot of rookies on this team. I think we were, probably one of the youngest teams in the league,
Mhm.
and a lot of unexperienced guys, and they made it pretty easy for us to come in, and we all had a voice in the room, and we could all speak up, and we all had great times together. So as for the coaching staff, it was awesome. I think, they were super welcoming. They kind of, calmed us down a little bit when times were rough, and we all, I know about other guys as well, but I think they were communicating very well to us and what to do and what not to do. So looking forward to see them back in Winnipeg.
One of the things that you mentioned, and it's a point I think that sometimes people lose focus on, is how young this Moose team was in general. And you did rely on guys like Jeff Malott and Jeffrey Viel and actually Janssen Fielby and Dominic Toninato, a lot of veteran guys, even Jimmy Olney, who obviously was the captain and wasn't playing because he was dealing with his own injury situation, but he was still around the team. But from a center depth perspective, Brad Lambert, Chaz Lucius, Danny Zhilkin, three very young centers. Centers probably one of the most difficult positions to play. So it says something about the organization. I think that they are willing to allow you guys that sort of, I mean, it's a learning experience for you, right? You're like you said, you're going from junior or college in the case of Chaz Lucius to pro hockey. It's a big jump, and you're doing it at one of the most important positions in the game. So from your perspective, what does that say about the organization that they're willing to put that faith in guys, knowing, hey, there's going to be some growing pains, but we're willing to grow with you as a team?
Yeah, it's huge. I think, if you look at the Jets roster, a lot of their top guys, probably most of their top guys are from, development and being drafted here in Winnipeg and kind of developing and playing through the Manitoba Moose system and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's been awesome. I think one of the guys you didn't mention there was Reichs. Reichel was a big
Yeah, of
leader
course.
for us. It was I think it was one of the first years he played center, if I'm not
It was.
mistaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the leadership he brought to the group, and it was awesome to see. He kind of took us under his wing, and all the centermen. We had a great coach in Vaughn Rody, our face-off coach, and he did such a great job. I think we're probably, if I'm not mistaken, he said we were top three in the league in face-offs with having such young centermen. So yeah, it was cool to see, and he's gonna be back with us this year, and it's gonna be good to have him and kind of coach us through the face-offs.
Danny, one of the things that I've talked about with defensemen is learning tips and things from each other. So a guy like Ty Bauer might learn something from Ville Heinola, and vice versa. That one guy excels at versus another guy. From your perspective, from a center perspective, what were some of the things that, whether it was Christian Reichel, Brad Lambert, Chaz Lucius, like whether it was a younger guy or an older guy, Dominic Toninato, that you were able to kind of glean from them and adopt in your arsenal for this last season and of course moving forward?
Yeah, well, one great thing Dom does is his skate block on face-offs. I think that's pretty cool to see. It was early last season that we were doing in camp, and he took a face-off against me, and he kind of did the skate block, and I still can't learn it to this day. So I'm still trying to. But the biggest thing for us was gaining face-off positioning and kind of winning the dot, almost like a sumo battle. So you're kind
Mhm.
of it's five guys playing as a team trying to win the face-off, but centerman's most important, and you're kind of trying to win that dot. That was the biggest thing for us, is to win the dot.
Well, you guys didn't win a lot of games early in the season, but of course the team had a pretty big role towards the end, and of course went from last place to a playoff spot. again, I know you were not part of the whole thing, but from your point of view, how much did you learn? Because it was one of the things I talked about with Zinger at the Moose end of season is what you guys can learn from losing, even though nobody wants to lose, and nobody in any facet of life is going to say, yeah, losing's great. But what did you learn? Even though like I said, I know you were only part of it, but what did you learn from that experience?
Well, biggest thing is just don't give up. I mean, there's been games where, we were up two goals, one goal, and then we kind of lose the game, get down on ourselves, and then we do it two, three times. But then at the end of the day, you got to go out, next weekend and play another game. So biggest thing is just keep pushing and just seeing the resilience from the team and just coming from such adversity. And I think we lost 11 in a row, that streak, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was tough times, obviously, on everybody. And, being a young player, you're in 11-game losing streak, you kind of don't know what to do. But yeah, you're just trying to forget about the last game and move on forward and push harder. We had a lot of tough practices with, battling and kind of trying to push ourselves to the limit. And we got out of it. And I was super excited to see the team and the team atmosphere that we had when they went on that huge winning streak and a great run. It sucks, obviously, I wasn't, able to share the ice with them, but it was very awesome to see.
Well, let's just take a sidebar from talking about you, and let's talk about what Thomas Milic was able to do, because very impressive. Never easy to come in as your first year as a pro, as a goaltender. He was an overager, but sure, regardless of that, he's still making that jump. What did you see from him? The poise that you saw from this young man, in his first season as a pro?
Yeah, he was awesome. He came in at a tough time and he kind of saved our team. I thought he was, one of the best players on our team, and he kind of turned things around for us. And yeah, he was so calm and collective. You never saw him panic or anything. So he just knew what to do. He just played his game. And I played with Millie at U18's Team Canada. He was great there as well. So yeah, he's a very, very cool dude, awesome guy, and very fun in the locker room. And he's a great goaltender for sure.
So I'm going to take you to Texas right now, and your first pro goal. No surprise, your earlier teammate, your young teammate Nikita Chibrikov gets the primary assist on that one. You're in front of the net, collecting that, putting the rebound home. But from your point of view, what was it like to get your first pro goal? What do you remember about it, and where's the puck?
Yeah, I remember the whole game. I think that game was actually delayed due to an ice or some ice issue, I believe.
Mm.
So it was a longer than usual warm up. We thought the game was going to be canceled, so we sat in the locker room. But then got on the ice, and it was probably one of the loudest rinks I've been at. Texas, they have a great atmosphere there and great fans. So I was kind of just I was ready to go, I guess, from those loud cheers. So yeah, I remember Chibi, it was kind of a shot, and then we were trying to bang the rebound, and he shot it kind of at my neck almost, and then puck bounced down, and I guess just reflexes put the puck in the net, just kind of banged it in. Yeah, it was obviously very exciting for me and my family, and hopefully there's a lot more coming.
Now, what happened with the puck? Do you keep it? Are you a guy who likes to have mementos, that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I have a kind of a Hall of Fame locker in the basement of my parents' house, so it's sitting there and waiting for hopefully a few more milestone pucks down the road.
Okay. What about jerseys? Do you like, I'm always curious about guys and, whether they're interested in keeping their own jerseys, if they, especially with the Moose, because they do so many of those specialty jerseys, which always generally look really slick. Are you your first pro jersey, the first game you wore it? Do you have your first Moose jersey, that sort of thing?
I'll actually tell you a funny story. This isn't a Moose jersey, but when I was playing for the Guelph Storm, there was a
Yep.
jersey raffle for Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys, and my dad was at a game that was a week later than I wore the jersey, and he saw some couple wearing my jersey, so he came up to them and offered $300 for the jersey, and then they didn't believe him that I was his son. So he
Yeah.
had to show his ID and everything to prove I was his son, and they gave it to him for free. And yeah, they saw me after the game. I signed a couple of things for them, and it was obviously a pretty cool story. That's in the basement. But yeah, I got my Moose jersey and everything, my first pro jersey, obviously. So that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah. And, like you said, it's one of those things that you'll be able to look back on and, the Jets one and that sort of thing, and be able to, they'll tell a story, but that's a pretty good one about the Guelph one. So,
Yeah.
in terms of adjusting to life, and it's one thing that I think, and I've mentioned this many times before, but I'll say it again because I think it bears repeating. People take for granted that you guys come to a foreign city, whether it's, because you don't live in Canada, which obviously you're Canadian, but you live in Canada, but whether it's a guy who comes from Russia, like Chibrikov, or the States, or even a guy, like I said, coming from Ontario to Manitoba, the adjustment to being a pro. whether you're a first or second year guy or even an older guy, but specifically for the younger guys, it is a big jump. Similar to the jump from, on the ice. So from your perspective, living on your own, making your own meals, what's that like, that first sort of year in Winnipeg?
It was awesome. I keep joking around with everybody saying that the best class I took in high school was hospitality and cooking class. So, uh, yeah, that kind of helped me out. I love to cook. I love food, so cooking wasn't a big issue. But yeah, sometimes lonely at times. You're alone in your apartment, obviously. So trying to play video games from buddies back home and FaceTiming my parents and stuff like that obviously helped. But yeah, hanging out with Chibi and Kuz, they live close by, so yeah, we had a great group of guys, and hanging around at the rink with them helped obviously, and they kind of felt, they welcomed all of us in with no issues. So I don't think I found it much of an issue. It was pretty easy transition for me.
Well, and in terms of Winnipeg specifically, were there any, you don't have to give us your hot spots. We don't need people showing up where you are, but ultimately, what are some of the things you learned about the city, and what are some of the places you like to kind of check out?
I keep saying all the food spots are great. Every interview, I believe you asked me, I say that, but it's really true. I like a few shawarma places. There's one out west by the rink. I forget what it's called, but I love shawarma, so it's a very, very good place for me. And Frankie's obviously a huge spot by the Hyatt House there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the food is great. People, Jets fans are some of the most passionate fans in the league, obviously. So uh, hopefully one day I can come out in a whiteout. I think that's the dream. I think after I finished my Kitchener Rangers season, I got called up and I saw the whiteout for the first time. It was unbelievable. So hoping to experience that on the ice one day.
Well, one of your good friends, of course, someone you grew up with in Russia, and we've talked about it, as you said, we've talked about your relationship with Nikita Chibrikov, and how you guys played together from, I think, 4 to 9 overseas, and then you, of course, came over here and he stayed there. But I was going back and looking at the lineup at card, and really you played with him on the wing a significant period of time throughout the course of this season. So what was that like? What was that kind of return to that relationship? How seamless was it for you guys? And whether it was like Axel Jonsson Fjellby, Jeffrey VL, Dominic Toninato on the other wing, did they feel left out if you guys were speaking in Russian?
Yeah, everybody was kind of making fun of us. I was speaking Russian all the time, especially on the ice when you're trying to, before a face-off, you say something in Russian, and the other guy's like, "What do I do?" Right? So, no, it was pretty easy. Those veteran guys are so good as well. So it was good to adjust to their playing style as well. So, yeah, I think we obviously had a fun time, and coming into the season, there's a lot more to look forward to, and hoping to stick around with him. Obviously on a line, we have great chemistry, so it'll be good to see what's coming next.
And speaking of him again, he, although I asked him where his puck was, he didn't know at the end of Moose season. I think they were making a plaque for him, so he'll be excited to get back to Winnipeg and to check that out. But from your perspective, I mean, like you said, good friends growing up together. What was it like for you to see his NHL debut and, of course, his first NHL goal?
Yeah, it was awesome. I went to that game, and Lambo did such a great job as well. Got an assist, but
Yep,
Chibi's goal was electric. I believe it was the game-winning goal, and he got the first star, I believe, too.
he
So that
was.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, super proud of him. That was an awesome moment to see, and I was, I was happy I was there in the building to witness that.
And does that make you hungry? Like, you see these guys, and, it's funny. Hockey's a weird sport in that regard, right? You guys are all teammates and you love each other and you all want the best for each other, but you also all want that spot. And so but does it ignite a hunger in you to see someone like that, one of your contemporaries do something like that, and you say, okay, that could be me, and I want it to be me soon.
Yeah, for sure. I think, when you're a little kid, that's what you dream of, is to play in the NHL and score big goals. So obviously, yeah, super motivational, and you just kind of want to work harder and harder to be on there and maybe be on a line with him one day as well, and put bucks in with him, and guys with Adam Lowry and Mark Scheifele, play with those guys as well. So that would be obviously a dream come true, and hopefully I can achieve that in the next few years.
In terms of recovering from injury, did you find it helpful to be in Winnipeg and to stay as part of the group? And obviously you had a bit of a injury recovery team with, like I said, Jimmy Olney, the captain, and Chaz Lucius. But did that help you kind of feel like a part of it? Because even though, like, obviously they go on the road and you're kind of left behind, you still have you have that little group that can kind of be together and kind of keep each other motivated. But you're not back home completely isolated. At least this way, you still feel like when they're in Winnipeg, you're still part of the team.
Yeah, it was huge. All the guys and the coaching staff as well, they made us, still we were a huge part of the team. We were always in all the pregame meetings and postgame meetings and always around the team. So that was super helpful. The biggest kind of downtime we had was when they went on that huge road trip, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Texas actually at the end of the season because they didn't come back before
Oh
their
yeah. They played the
play-in
doubleheader and then
series. Yeah.
the play-in series. Yeah.
So that was obviously tough without them and kind of, they're out there playing, battling for the season and you're just sitting at home. So yeah, that was tough, but the team made us, feel part of the group and nothing, we weren't excluded in any means. So it was good to see.
Well, Danny, we know you're feeling good. You're feeling ready for your second pro season here in Winnipeg. So what are your goals? Are you a goal setter? Are you the guy who says, okay, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, whether it's specifically score this many goals or, make my NHL debut or whatever?
Well, as I said many times, the dream is to play in the NHL. So obviously, there's the right time to enter the league, obviously, and I don't. That's up to the coaching staff and obviously management to see when I'm ready. So I'm just coming to camp with the right mindset and trying to prove myself and do the best I can. So we'll see what happens from there.
Now, let me ask you this. How much do you pay attention to the things that are said, whether it's in the media, whether it's like, I don't know, again, maybe not internally through the team, but like, for example, July 1st, I think we were talking to Kevin Cheveldayoff, the Jets GM, and he made a comment about the young players taking advantage of opportunity. Does that resonate with you? I mean, I know me saying it to you, does it resonate, but had you kind of heard that before? And do you kind of take that message? And I know you said, in the exit meetings, they said, finish every rep, but this is an external comment by the general manager of the hockey team. And it's basically a message, I think, or clearly to the younger players in the organization.
Yeah, for sure. I saw that press conference online, and as I said before, it's just super motivating, and you're just working hard and hard every summer to achieve your goal. And you really, after my first pro season, I really understand what it takes to be not only a pro hockey player but an NHL hockey player. So yeah, just working super hard this off season and hoping that the best is to come.
All right, Danny. Any parting words? Anything fun or motivating you want to say to Jets fans before they see you here in Winnipeg?
No, just cheer loud, and we'll see you in Winnipeg. And I'm hoping to make you guys happy when I'm around you guys. And see you soon. I'm very excited to see you.
All right, Danny. Thanks very much for joining us here on the IC Summer Series. We'll see you in Winnipeg shortly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.